In a quiet village, nestled at the base of a mist-covered mountain, there lived an old Zen master named Tetsuo. Renowned for his wisdom, Tetsuo had spent decades practicing the art of mindfulness, finding peace in the gentle rustling of bamboo and the whisper of the river. His students came from far and wide, seeking guidance on the path to enlightenment. Among them was a young man named Haruto, whose heart burned with a restless fire. Haruto had a fierce temper, and though he tried to meditate, he often found himself lost in the flames of his own emotions. One day, after a particularly turbulent outburst, he went to Tetsuo, frustration spilling over like water from an upturned bucket. "Master," Haruto said, his voice trembling with anger, "I cannot find peace. Whenever someone offends me, my blood boils and I am overcome with rage. How can I become calm like you?" Tetsuo did not respond immediately. He simply watched Haruto, his gaze as still and deep as the mountain pond. Finally he rose and said, "Come, Haruto, there is something I wish to show you." The master led Haruto to the edge of the village, where a narrow path wound through the forest and up the mountain. They walked in silence, the only sound being the crunch of gravel underfoot. As they climbed higher, the path grew steeper and the air cooler, until they reached a wide plateau where an old, gnarled tree stood alone. Tetsuo sat beneath the tree and gestured for Haruto to do the same. "Look at this tree," he said softly. "It has stood here for many years. Through storms and sunlight it remains unmoved." Haruto glanced at the tree, then back at the master. "But I am not a tree," he said. "I am human, and I feel deeply." Tetsuo nodded. "Indeed you are human, and to feel is natural. But tell me, Haruto, if someone throws a stone at this tree, does the tree strike back? If the wind bends its branches, does it grow angry?" "No, master," Haruto replied. "The tree does not react." "Precisely," said Tetsuo. "The tree does not react because it understands its nature. It knows that the stone and the wind are not part of its being. In the same way, when someone throws insults at you, or when circumstances stir up your emotions, these things are not a part of who you truly are. They are like the wind passing through the branches." Haruto frowned, unsure. "But how can I remain unaffected, master? I am not strong like the tree." "Strength lies not in resisting the wind, but in knowing that it cannot change your roots," Tetsuo replied. "Come, let me show you." The Zen master stood and began gathering stones, placing them in a circle around Haruto. He then picked up a single pebble and tossed it into the air, allowing it to fall near Haruto's feet. "Did that stone hurt you?" Tetsuo asked. "No," said Haruto. "It was only a pebble." The master then picked up a larger rock and hurled it in Haruto's direction, making sure it landed outside the circle he had drawn. "And this one?" Tetsuo asked again. "It did not touch me, master," Haruto replied. "Good," Tetsuo said. "Now close your eyes." Haruto obeyed, and the master quietly moved around, tossing pebbles from various directions. Some landed close, some farther away. For a while, Haruto remained calm, feeling the stones land harmlessly around him. But then, one of the pebbles hit his shoulder, and he sprang to his feet, his eyes flashing with anger. "Why did you strike me, master?" Haruto demanded. Tetsuo gave a slight smile. "Ah, you see, it was not the pebble that caused your anger, but your mind's reaction to it. The stone itself was no different from the others. It was light and harmless, but you chose to react to it." Haruto's anger faded as he realized the truth in his master's words. "Then, master, how do I stop myself from reacting? How can I learn to be like the tree, unmoved by the wind?" Tetsuo's gaze softened. "You must learn to observe without attachment, Haruto. When you feel the stirrings of anger or fear, do not try to push them away, nor should you cling to them. Instead, let them rise and fall like waves in the ocean, knowing that beneath the surface there is a deeper stillness. That stillness is your true nature. It is not disturbed by the wind or the stones. The master paused, then added, "It is not the absence of emotions that brings peace, but the freedom from being ruled by them. The power of not reacting is not the power to feel nothing, it is the power to choose how you respond." Haruto took these words to heart and began to practice diligently. Each day he would sit beneath the tree, allowing the wind to pass over him and the sounds of the forest to surround him. Sometimes his thoughts were like storm clouds, dark and heavy, but he learned to let them drift away without chasing after them. Other times, emotions rose like flames, but he no longer threw fuel onto the fire. He simply watched, breathed, and returned to the stillness within. Seasons came and went. The old tree shed its leaves and grew new ones. Haruto's temper gradually cooled, not because life became easier, but because he had found the strength to remain grounded. When people insulted him or circumstances tested him, he remembered his master's words, "Let the wind pass through your branches." One day, a traveler came to the village and found Haruto meditating under the same old tree. Intrigued, the traveler approached him and said, "You seem so calm, as though nothing in this world can disturb you. How do you achieve such peace?" Haruto opened his eyes and smiled, a quiet wisdom shining in them. "It is not that I am unmoved," he said, "but that I have learned not to follow the movement. When you can watch the storms of life without letting them uproot you, that is when you discover true strength." And so Haruto became known throughout the land, not for his ability to avoid the winds of change, but for his ability to stand firm amidst them. His stillness was not that of a stone, but of a tree that knew how to sway with the breeze while keeping its roots deep in the earth. He had learned the art of not reacting, and in doing so found a freedom that transcended all the stones and storms of the world. The old master Tetsuo continued to watch over his student with a serene smile, knowing that Haruto had come to embody the very lesson he had sought. The power of not reacting was not the denial of experience, but the mastery of oneself in the face of it.